record so that we can use this at a later time, and Genevieve can share it if she wants to. And for those of you that are not able to see us live, you can still get the recording. But this is the third series in the Abundant Living series. And I am just interviewing some badass women, entrepreneurs, who are just doing such amazing things in the world. And Genevieve is one of them. And I'm so excited just to have you just kind of share the way that you actually have woven two pieces that you love. You've woven a piece of coaching that you enjoy, and you've also woven in a financial piece. And so I would love to just hear more of that, because I get a lot of questions sometimes of, well, you know, I'm doing this thing over here, or I'm working full-time here, but I really want to do coaching here. How do I weave it? Or I've got a massage therapy practice here, but I really want to do some coaching here. How do I weave it? And you have really woven two pieces that you really enjoy and that you love so successfully. So welcome, Genevieve. And
thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Tell us about what you're doing.
Sure. Hello, ladies. Thank you for sharing this time with me as well. So actually, it's a third piece, Chris. It's also my franchise consulting business. So it's interesting, and I'll share with you, ladies. It started out as my franchise consulting business. That was one of the reasons I left my firm and I started that business. But I always had a desire to coach. I'd done that in corporate America, but I wanted to do it on a health and wellness level. So that was always on the fringes. So I completed the certification program. And then I thought, oh my gosh, how can I use both? These are two things that I do enjoy. How can I use both? And someone said to me, and it was right, they said, just relax, because I tend to be very pragmatic, and it's like, and maybe this is the corporate America training, it just, everything has to be lined up, you know, and order, and you have to know. And that's been a shift for me as well, working with Chris. But what I noticed is, as I got involved in working in the coaching portion and working with Chris, I think I became more relaxed, in the sense of more relaxed and open to the different synergies of the business. And what I found is that there are common threads. I use coaching when I'm working with franchise clients, because most times when people come to me, they're not really sure what they want, and it is coaching them. And there's a mindset shift, leaving your job, your 9-to-5, or your job that's a paying job and it's solid, moving into the arena of business ownership. So there's coaching there. There's some objections. So I've been able to cross-reference those in that. And on the flip side, if I was working with coaching clients and they wanted to establish a business ownership, that's where some of that came in. And sometimes it feels like it's muddied, but what I do is I stay open to it, and the abundance flows, and things come to me in various ways. I've had coaching counterparts refer franchise clients to me. I've had franchise clients refer coaching clients to me. It's just been very interesting, and it's been an interesting journey, just kind of observing it and just being open to it.
Now, tell me more about what you mean about franchise.
Okay.
Just for people who are not sure. Like, when I first heard the word franchise, I'm like, oh, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, like those are franchises. Starbucks, like you have to purchase somebody else's.
Exactly. So it's true. Most people think of, when they think of franchise, they think of McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, etc. And that's true. Those are the most well-known. And most times when because people think of that, they think owning a franchise is so costly. So what I do is I work with people who are interested in purchasing a franchise, and I actually get to know them. I ask them what their goals are, what their lifestyle is, what their background, what they want to invest. And then what I do is I match them to a franchise in my portfolio. So I have roughly about 500 to 600 franchises that I have available to me. Yeah.
What? Yeah. No way. I thought you were going to say 5, 10.
Yeah,
I had no idea there was that many franchises available.
Oh my gosh. And that's just what we have in our portfolio in Nestle. There are a gazillion of franchises out there, it feels like. They range from investment levels of 10,000 on up. So most likely, if someone is truly ready to purchase a franchise, I can find them one that will suit their needs.
Wow.
So, and I stay with them throughout the process. So from the time, I have that initial conversation, I introduce them to the franchisor, and I stay with them, coaching them along the way. And that's where the coaching comes in, coaching them along the way. If they have objections, sometimes people are just like stuck in the headlights, that kind of thing, that deer in the headlights. And I stay with them through the end until they actually place with the franchisor.
That
so
is
it is. Yeah.
So you really kind of hear what it is that they desire, kind of what their heart is looking for as far as getting out of a corporate world or getting out of a 9-to-5, wanting to start, be a CEO of their own business, be an entrepreneur, and as a franchise. And so you really kind of listen to what it is that they want, what lights them up. And then you get, okay, based on what it is that you're telling me, let's take a look at these options over here. So you walk with some choices.
Yes.
And then you walk them through, okay, based on these choices, this is what this would look like, and this is what this would look like. And we all know that 80% of success is mindset, and we take ourselves out of the game on a daily basis if we don't have mindset running right. So I love have you woven in coaching that when they do start taking themselves out of the game, or when that critter brain that wants to just keep them safe from doing anything different, that's pretty different.
Yeah. And it's so true, because it's exactly that, Chris. And I know I'm working currently with a client, and it's interesting. He and I initially started working, I say maybe over a year ago. Then it died down, and then it came back a year later, and it was literally the same things that he wanted. It was the same thing that day. And I said to him at one point, as we were working together, I said, had we, you almost said, we want to do this so that you don't go back to a year from now. And then he says, nope, I'm ready to do this now. I'm ready to do this now. And it's kind of prodding him along too. And then saying, just like we do in coaching, and sometimes it's, yes, you're going the right way. Sometimes it's a little bit of a nudge. Sometimes it's no, let's look at this, and corralling them. So it is indeed, it's coaching. It actually is.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have to, that coaching piece.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody could be successful without that coaching piece.
No, you couldn't be.
It's almost like, I remember when I was a functional nutritional therapist and I was working with my clients in that way. And I could tell people what to eat all day long to help balance blood sugar. But until we actually got inside the mind and got inside the lifestyle and the habit change and help set them up for success and help them see where they're going to self-sabotage or what are some of the old patterns, it's never changed.
Exactly. That is so true. And then what I also know is that if someone comes to me and this is their first time exploring franchising or business ownership, most likely they're not going to go through with the process on the first time. It usually is maybe the second time or the third time, or when they come back to me the second or third time, is some event happened that really triggered that I must do this now. Usually that first time is that kick in the tires. So
what stops them? Is it like, where do you find, 60, 70, 80% of the people getting stuck?
I think most people are stopped by fear. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of different. It's the fear of, oh my gosh, if I step out and do this and purchase a franchise, who's going to help me? Although there are training programs, there are systems in place, but it's the mindset. It doesn't necessarily mean that is true. It's just what they're telling themselves. Not unlike our coaching clients, some of our coaching clients, it's what they tell themselves and what they believe. And there's this belief that, if I'm working my 9-to-5 and if I'm working in corporate America, that's safe. That's safe for me. If I step outside of that and go to business ownership and that's unsafe. So as we know, that chatter and that critter
Mhm.
brain is just like, no, 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 that doesn't work. And so
Mhm.
that slows them down. And then
Yeah.
they'll think of excuses. Oh, I want to wait, or oh, it's COVID, or oh, I don't have enough money, or oh, whatever. My wife doesn't agree. My husband doesn't. It's some of the same things
It
that we go
is.
through.
Okay, this is awesome. I am so glad that you're saying that, because this is something that we hear
Hmm.
as, whether we're
Hmm.
health coaches, life
Hmm.
coaches, spiritual
Hmm.
coaches, career coaches, relationship
Exactly.
coaches. Whenever it comes to people actually saying, okay, I'm in, I'm
Hmm.
committing, I am going to now invest in
Hmm.
myself, that
Yeah.
is where people get stuck. And
Exactly.
what I find, no matter what it is that
Hmm.
they're afraid that they're not going to follow through and
Exactly.
get the results that they want. They're
Hmm.
afraid that they themselves are not going to be able to actually get what it is that they want.
Exactly.
And
That
that
is so
fear
true.
is
That is so
is
true.
that
Yeah.
is it's almost like our critter brain, our lower brain,
Hmm.
our emotional
Hmm.
brain puts that in
Hmm.
our way constantly
Yeah.
to keep us safe.
Yes. Absolutely.
Keep us safe.
And so what I do is, since I know some of those things come up, sometimes I can head them off, just like what we do in
Mhm.
our coaching programs and when we're working with one-on-one clients. So I'll often ask them if they have a spouse or a significant other who's going to be involved in the business decisions and
Mhm.
be involved in the process. So I get them in early. So I invite them to the conversation early so I can answer their questions or their objections at the start. That's one thing. The other is another thing that sometimes prevents people is they don't have money, or they say they don't have funding, or they don't know how to do this. So I bring up that conversation first. I'll
Yeah.
ask them about what they're using. Have they thought about one or two ways? And I may have two or three options for them. And
Yeah.
that's nice. So I try to head it off. And then even with that, there are just some people, they get frightened and they stop.
Mhm.
And so what I may do, depending if they're willing to talk, because some people just ghost you, but
Yeah.
then there are others that may say that, and I'll remind them, well, you told me your goals were to do this, to do that, to do this. What piece has changed, and where would you like to see yourself 6 months from now, a
Yeah.
year from now,
Yeah.
and how will you get there? And sometimes they think about it and they're like, yeah, I do want to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's almost like they
Hmm.
need to kind of see the possibility and
Exactly.
see that there are ways that they are
Hmm.
going to continue to be supported, and that
Hmm.
it's so funny. One of the things that I hear a lot,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
just with my clients, but in the
Hmm.
coaching world in
Yeah.
general, or,
Hmm.
again, and you know this because you're a coach, the
Yeah.
way we do one thing in life is the way that we do
Yes. It's
everything.
so true.
So whether we're investing in a
Yeah.
franchise, or
Yes.
whether we are having to make
Hmm.
a big decision on buying a piece of furniture, or
Hmm.
whatever, the critter brain is always going to come up with excuses for
Exactly.
why now is not the right time.
Right.
And sometimes it looks like, I don't know how. I don't know how.
Exactly.
I don't know how.
Exactly.
And
It's
one of
hmm
the things that I love
hmm
to help my clients with is,
hmm
let's change that up. Instead of saying,
yeah.
I don't know how,
Hmm.
let's ask that next question of, how can I?
Yes.
How can I? I
Yeah.
don't have I want to do this. I don't have the money. Okay.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
hear that you don't have the money.
Hmm.
And what are some ways that you
Hmm.
can get the investment dollars that you need?
Exactly.
How could you do this?
Exactly.
Um, and it just
Yeah.
amazes me how often
Yeah.
the I don't
Hmm.
know how comes up over and
It's
over and
true.
over again, no matter
It's
what,
true.
you
It's
know.
true. It's absolutely true. And you know what is interesting, that I don't know how, and what I thought about when you were talking, I remember one point in my master class, or the class that's going on now, I asked the question, I forget which day it was, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Mm,
And some people answered, someone said, I don't know. And to me, that was very telling, when, you can't say what you consider happiness. And I think people are so conditioned to, and I'll say women, that they're so conditioned to nurturing and just taking care of others. When you start to turn the lens inward or on themselves and ask them, what is it you want? What
Mhm.
makes you happy? What lights you up? That is stumps them because they had never thought about it.
Yeah.
And I noticed this thread is throughout all these businesses, franchise consulting, financial. People just don't focus in on, as a rule,
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
and what lights
Exactly.
them up.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
the I don't know is also a
Mhm.
buffer.
Yes.
That a
Yes.
lot too. And when I
Yeah.
when I mean buffer, for those of you
Mhm.
that don't know transformational coaching, buffer is a
Mhm.
term that we use that
Mhm.
actually keeps us safe. We kind
Mhm.
of put up this buffer, we put up this blockade
Mhm.
to keep us from making movement in any
Right.
direction at all. We're buffering.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if we say, I don't know,
Mhm.
awesome, we're safe. We don't have to
Yeah.
make any movement. We don't have to make any
Exactly.
changes. We don't have to do anything uncomfortable. We don't have to reach out to anybody. We don't have to invite
Exactly.
somebody into having a conversation.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
just get to say, I don't know, which
Yep.
is just a complete buffer.
Yep. And it gets you off the hook. You don't have to deal with it
Yep,
anymore. And you're like, I'm done.
exactly. Because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I don't
No.
know.
Wait a minute,
It's
wait a
so
minute.
true.
Let's come back here. If you didn't know, or how can you find out?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
For
true.
those of you that don't know, Genevieve is one of my mastermind clients, and
Yeah.
every Monday
Mhm.
I hop in on an app called Voxer,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we talk about what are our intentions, who is
Mhm.
it that we get to
Mhm.
show up and be in the world
Yeah.
as, what are the declarations, what are
Yeah.
some inspired actions,
Mhm.
and today I was hot on the topic of the I don't know. So this is something that, it's like, okay, like, it's
Yes.
okay to have
Yes.
that thought of I don't know,
Mhm.
but we just don't want
Yeah.
to let it stop there. Instead, we want
Exactly.
to say, okay, I don't know how to do this.
Mhm.
How can I find the information? Who
Right.
could I reach out to? How could
Mhm.
I make this happen?
Exactly.
Instead of just leaving it
Mhm.
as the I don't know. And I
Yeah.
gave a really funny story this morning that I'll share here just because I think
Mhm.
it's hilarious. When I look back on my teenage years, I think I was born to be an entrepreneur because I was always willing to figure it out. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
there's got to be a way. And
Yeah.
what I shared this morning was I got locked out. I had no way to get into my house. I had come home,
Mhm.
I think it was in middle school. My mom was working. I was a latchkey kid. I couldn't get in. Door was locked, no key. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? I had no cell phone at that time,
Mhm.
could not get in the house and
Mhm.
call anybody. That wasn't possible.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, okay, well, let me try a couple windows. So I walked around the
Yeah.
house to try to see if there were some windows. And I'm like, okay, that didn't work. And I'm like, all right, there's got to be a way that I
Yeah.
can get in the house in some way, shape, or form. And then I
Right.
tried to jiggle the sliding glass doors. So I'm dating myself when you could actually kind of take the handle and kind of hook it up and over. Um, that didn't work. And I actually tried climbing the balcony to see if I could get into another like sliding glass door on the top.
Mhm.
That didn't work. And then I looked down and there was the dog door from our kitchen for our dogs. We had Brittany Spaniels so they could go out and come in. And I'm like, oh my God, I could just slide through the dog door. And I did. I like maneuvered my way into the dog door. And the thing that makes me laugh to this day about that whole story is that I didn't stop at, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's right.
stop at saying, all right, I'm locked out. I don't know what to do. What I did is I said, okay, how
That's
am I
right.
going to do this? What do I
Mhm.
need to do? How do I need to do it? And normally, typically 90% of the time, the first thing you try doesn't work out anyways. The
It's true.
windows didn't work out. The sliding glass door
It's
didn't
true.
work out. The balcony didn't work out.
Mhm.
There was no
Yeah.
hidden key anywhere. You have to keep coming up. But that is where
That's
the
right.
commitment
That's right.
comes in. Because
That's
when we
right.
make a commitment, and I was
Mhm.
committed to get into that house. I was not going
Yeah.
to sit outside on the street and wait until 6:30 until my
Yeah.
mom got home. It was going to
Mhm.
be several long, boring hours.
Yeah.
So the how opened up within the commitment. I was
Yeah.
committed to figuring out how to get in the house.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? You're so right. And I think about times, and it's almost we have to remind ourselves that that's the process. And I remember I thought of, and I know we talk about, You get to, you have your declaration, what you're inspired, what you want, and you don't worry about the how. There was a point recently I was worrying about the how, and then I thought about it. I said, oh, when I wanted to buy my first house, I didn't know everything that I had worked out. I knew I wanted to buy a house. I hadn't had it worked out, but that's what I knew I wanted to do. And once I committed to that, and once I said that is going to happen, things started to shift a little bit in the sense of, my mother said, oh, you know what, I'll go in with you. Or, other things came into play that I had not even thought about, and it just opened up. So, it truly does work. When you make the commitment, it just opens up for you what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it may be something you hadn't even thought about. And most times it is.
Yeah, truly. Absolutely. You're like, what? Oh my gosh, how is this happening? Exactly. And yet, until we make the commitment to try it, it doesn't happen. So, this idea that we share all the time of, the how opens within the commitment. We have to make the commitment of finding a way, and then that how will absolutely open up. And an interesting thing that I learned recently too, I can't remember what book. Oh, I think it was from A Happy Pocket Full of Money. The one that I had sent you and our other mastermind clients.
Yes, I love that book.
So often we say, I don't know how, but the truth is we might not know how to go from A to Z, but we do know the next step. Saying, I don't know how really isn't true. Like we have an idea of what might be the next step. Maybe the next step is, let me call so-and-so because I know that she has some experience in this and maybe she'll help me with blah, blah, blah. Or let me take a look at this book, or let me go look through my notes, or let me reach out to so-and-so. So even though we don't know the how, we do know the next step. And that's really all we need to do.
Yeah, we do. And it's interesting because I think I was just thinking back when I was in corporate America, and I remember instances where you had to get to the solution or you had to get to the end and you had no idea what the how was going to be. But when your back is against the wall and you have to come up with something, you start figuring out very quickly. So if you think about it, if you can do that in a circumstance like that, why not do it for yourself and think about that and just trigger, because the mind is a fabulous thing. It will work in that same manner. You just give it the right incentive. It will give you what you need.
Have you noticed that when you are focusing on solutions rather than problems, that is when the how opens up?
It is. It does.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about why you can't or what the issues are. You're thinking about, here's where I want to go. And I'm going to figure out how to get there. It's kind of like recently, I have a problem with my grass. It seems like I always have something going on with my house. It's squirrels one time and it's grass the next.
I remember the squirrels.
Squirrels. It's just that we have a very complex relationship with the squirrels. But I solved that problem. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I solved that problem. But it's the same thing with the grass now, because my grass is giving me problems. I have little spots here. And I said, gosh darn it, I am going to have grass this summer. And it's going to not have any spots. And I've just been, that's how I figure out, I try things or what have you. And it is working. And it's that commitment that no matter what, I am not going to have a bald yard. I'm going to have grass. So, it's a small example, but it shows you how even in daily life, if your daily task or just your regular activities, you focus on that commitment, you will get it done and it will work for you. Yeah. So why not do it for yourself, and why not do it for your business? Why not do it for your clients?
Exactly. Instead of doing it for a boss, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we have to come up with solutions. If we're working for somebody else, we have to focus on the solutions. Like if we told our boss, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They didn't want to hear it.
We probably wouldn't be there very long.
No, you wouldn't.
Right?
You wouldn't. And then they'll say, oh, I'll call you back in 10 minutes and I'll look for the solution. So it's like you get no window. You just have to solve it. So you're right. Why not do that for yourself? Why not do that for your business? It's the same process.
It is. It's, oh my gosh. I love transformational coaching and how the mind works.
Yeah.
You really can see how it bleeds in. to so many different areas. You
It
know,
does.
I think that none of us ever start really, especially as business owners, whether we are starting a coaching business or a franchise or any type of business at all, we don't start knowing how.
No.
We just don't. It's kind of like riding a bike, right? We don't start knowing how to ride the bike. We are just committed to figuring it out. And we get on and it's wonky and we're unbalanced and we're trying to figure out how do we steer and balance and put our feet on the pedals without falling over. And we figure it out.
Yes, we do.
And then we
know it's going to be uncomfortable until we figure it out. So you just get used to being uncomfortable until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a little less uncomfortable. I won't say easy, but it becomes less uncomfortable.
Exactly.
At least it's not painful. You know, you pick up the phone and talk to a client, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Right. It's not that. It becomes more part of you. And as you become more comfortable, you notice that evolution, not only within yourself, but within your business, because you're kind of opening yourself up to the path.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what I would love to hear, like some of the success stories that you've had with your clients. What are some success stories that you're like, this is pretty awesome?
Yeah. Okay. I remember there was someone I was working with who happened to be a friend of mine. And I thought, and this taught me not to make assumptions about clients. I really thought, you know, what am I going to show her that she's not a lot, maybe some tweaks here and there. And it was interesting as we went through the process, I realized that, you know, there were points that she was highly stressed, even though it didn't show on her outside. God bless you. And there were points where she, you know, her eating, there were certain comfort foods she would eat. Even though she appeared fit, there were certain comfort, and that was her comfort, whether it's a piece of cake or what have you. And after we completed working together, a couple of things happened, and she contacted me maybe a few weeks after. She said, you know, one of the things we set the stage for is eating whole foods every day. At least we started out small, at least that. She called me and said she was continuing to do that. We also did some work with stress prior to eating, and she was still doing those practices. Like she was making sure that she was in a relaxed state before she ate and not that pent up stress. And then thirdly, just her overall stress and sleeping habits had improved because she was releasing things and just really taking some of the things that we talked about. And that was nice for me to hear. In fact, I enjoyed it. She said, you know, I just want to sing your praises. And she invited people to my group because she thought I had something to share that I thought, and she benefited from it. So I felt good about that.
Oh, I love that.
It was nice. So it makes you feel great when you don't know always how you make an impact with someone until they start to give you some of the feedback of what they experienced and what the differences were.
Yes.
So that was a wonderful feeling.
Oh my gosh, isn't it? It's such a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
I love that.
And you know, sometimes you think it's going to take a long time, but it's not necessarily. I recently, and I'm finishing up tonight, my masterclass, Raising Your Vibe to Thrive. And already I've had some people come back to me and say, you know, some of the things that we talked about, I started implementing it and just really moving forward and putting myself first and thinking about what I want out of life and how I can proceed with that. And I thought that was heartwarming because, you know, sometimes you don't know if people are listening.
Especially when you're doing a Facebook Live and you're like, I don't know, are they getting anything out of this? Tell us about this, though. Raising Your Vibe to Thrive. It's your masterclass. It's your signature masterclass.
Yes.
And tonight's your last night, but can people still join and maybe?
Sure, you can join tonight. What I'm doing is initially I had planned to have the replays, like I would only hold the replays like 48 hours, but I've left them on until probably tomorrow to give people a chance to watch them. So they are available. And what Raising Your Vibe to Thrive is, it's tied into my signature framework. And what I wanted to do is work with burnt out professional women who are looking for something different, who are looking to pursue their passion, who are looking to lead that life that they deserve or that they don't even realize that they deserve. And it's an interesting piece because oftentimes women such as that, because I was one of them, you don't know. You don't know what you need to do, and you may not even realize that you are someplace that you really don't want to be, because you get used to whatever that is. You get used to that grind. You get used to feeling like you feel. You get used to the aches and pains and all of that gets surrounded
right.
with that type of environment. So I would like to help women who are in that place to just realize, yes, I can do it. And it starts with thinking of myself as worthy and being more self-full, not thinking that that's selfish, to think about myself, think about what my wants is.
Yeah.
I remember one night we talked about, what do you believe? And I asked them, what is your I am statement? Is it I am powerful, I am nurturing, and I just gave them some examples. So it took a while to get them started, but before I knew it, it's like everyone's like, reciting these I am statements. It's like, I am this, I am that, I'm wonderful, I'm nurturing. And it was crazy, but it was wonderful crazy. It was like the floodgates had opened.
Yeah.
And I think that's the piece that I want to experience, is helping someone see that there is something better. There is a life that you are, it's your birthright. You're entitled to that. We're not meant to live in misery. Right. We're not meant to live in a place where we're unhappy and, we have health problems because we're unhappy.
Right. And those health problems are not normal. They might seem normal because we've been dealing with them for so long, but they're not normal. And you have the signature framework that you teach
yes.
people called the Pearl Pathway.
Yes, the Pearl Pathway of Wellness. So it is my framework. And it's so funny. It took me a while to come up with my name. And I started with my personal group. Then I moved to my business name. And so my personal group, or my Facebook personal group, is called Finding Your Pearl of Wellness. And my idea was, an oyster creates the pearl from the irritations. And we know life has irritations, and you really you can't remove them, but how do you work around that? And how do you take that and harness it and create your wellness path? And that's signature to you. My path may be different from the next person's path, but you create that for yourself. And so you take all those things, and how do you deal with that on a daily basis? Hence, then you have the Pearl Pathway, and that's your pathway. Once you have your pearl, or thinking about what your pearl is, what is my pathway to get to wellness, and what my wellness is?
I love that. Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Genevieve, if there is one thing that you want to leave with us, just a piece of wisdom that you want to give to other women who are either thinking about starting a franchise, or thinking about coaching, or thinking about getting on this new journey for wellness, what would you say?
I would say, follow your heart. Don't let anyone say to you, you can't for whatever reason. You don't have enough money, or you don't have security, you don't have this. Follow what you desire, because guess what? If you don't do this now, when will you do it? You'll be 80 regretting the fact that you never ventured on this and took that chance. So I'm saying, take the risk to be selfful for yourself, claim your birthright, and move towards your passion, whatever that is.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me have you here.
I love it. Thank you.
So excited to share you with the world. You are making an impact in the lives of so many women. And I just love you so much. So
thank you, Chris. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Wow. All right, everybody. So we can't see the comments because we're inside Zoom, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm going to ask Genevieve, and once we're done, to pop back in here, share her Raising Your Vibe to Thrive. So those of you that want to pop on, you are more than welcome to pop on. Also leave a link to your Facebook group so that people can join your Facebook group as well. Because I know you do a lot of amazing things inside your Facebook group. You share content, you share freebies, you do some live trainings. And so again,
thank you. Absolutely.
You just All
Thank
right, my
you.
dear.
All right. All
So much
right.
love.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you.